Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I'm going to be doing an armor guide today for my favorite armor. Now this is something I don't think I've ever done. Maybe I've said in passing like, oh, this is my favorite thing of this or whatever, in other armor guides, but I don't know that I've ever done a dedicated one for like my personal favorite armor. Now this can change. Basically, I have a bunch of different scenarios, so sometimes I want to roleplay as like a vagabond or a hedge knight or something like that, and then I might go with something lighter or a mercenary, or I might want to look like a bandit, or I might want to look as fancy and lordly as possible, and so then I might want to be using, the gilded armor that looks really, really fancy. But out of all of the things that I really like in the game, this suit is the one that I personally just like the way it looks the best, and I think it has the best cross-section of overall appearance in each of the individual parts and protection. And so this is my personal favorite. It does have good stats, obviously, because that's one of the things that I value in armor, but mostly it's about appearance. So I don't know who requested this, but I saw a request on one of my more recent videos, asking that I do an armor guide for my favorite one, and so that's what I'm doing here. If I can find the request, I'll flash it up on screen, but whatever. The case is, let's just dive on into it and start the guide. So for starters, we could talk about my favorite weapons. Now these ones some of these are going to be the best ones in the game, but they're all obviously very good. My favorite weapons categories to use, obviously I love archery in the game. As anybody who's a long-term viewer of the channel will know, I am an archer in real life, and so I definitely like it in video games, especially if it's a rewarding system that, requires practice and everything, which archery in Kingdom Come Deliverance does. And my favorite bow, out of all of the ones available, is the best cumin bow, the one that has 74 damage. This one, it's a double recurve, which I obviously really like. It has a higher draw speed than the best longbows in the game, but very close for damage, so in my opinion, stat-wise, it's, if not the best, very comparable with any of the other best things. And I, of course, just love the appearance of it, because even though I really, really like longbows, and I would really like to get a nice, high-quality, historically accurate longbow to practice with myself, I am a recurve and reflex shooter. That's what I typically do in real life, and so I really like the way it looks in the game. But with that being said, that's my favorite bow. My favorite arrows are the better piercing arrows. This initially started just because they had the highest damage stat, but then I just really started to like them because of their armor penetrating ability, which archery in this game is very, very overpowered, especially if you use it in the right way, and these arrows make it so you can shoot pretty much anywhere on a body and deal a tremendous amount of damage. So that's why they're my favorite. I love maces and axes, another thing that longtime viewers of the channel will know. I think the most fun melee combat comes from the longsword, and I think that's just because they intended the game to be longsword, or like Henry to be a longsword user, just based on the whole story and everything. My favorite longsword in the game is Longinus' sword. I like that it's rumored to be, or it's named after the Roman centurion who had pierced Christ's side on the cross. I think that's a very cool aspect of this as a weapon. I really love the appearance of this sword. It's one of my favorite looking in the game. Just the design elements of it are very, very cool. It looks like a normal weapon, but a very high quality one. So any longtime viewers of the channel know that I'm a big fan of Longinus' sword. It's not the best in the game, but it's very good. 68 for stab damage, 55 for slash damage. Places it in the top 5 easily for longswords. Like I said, I like maces and axes a lot. I think that even though the longsword is the most fun, I think that the maces and axes are the most effective, especially against large groups of enemies, well, excluding polearms. And for them, I like the ceremonial mace the best for the maces and or warhammers / bludgeons. And then the second variant to the metal-plated battle axe, the one with the little point on top, is my favorite axe in the game. And then, of course, lastly, every once in a while, I do find myself wanting to use a sword and shield, and so I will go with the Stinger for my best arming sword. It just has a tremendously good stab damage, so if you want to quickly poke all your enemies to death, the Stinger is the best for that. But just getting that out of the way, those are my personal favorite weapons. There are obviously other categories, like hunting swords and sabers and stuff like that. I just don't really use them a lot, so I don't have a favorite of them. Then for our armor, let's get it started. I have 2 variants. I have what I call my cutscene variant, which doesn't have any head armor, and then I have my combat variant, which does. So we're going to start with the first one, and then we'll do the second one, and I'll show you the stats for each. So our base level for this one is the Dark Silesian Gamson, which is my favorite Gamson in the game, the Decorated Black Hose, favorite hose in the game, then we have the Gold Ring, Golden Spurs, and Necklace. I like all of these for many reasons. I just, obviously like how much charisma they give you, and the Golden Spurs are obviously the sign of a knight, so that's why I like those items. But that's our first layer for our first variant of this outfit. Then for our second layer of our cutscene variant of my favorite armor, we have the long noble hauberk, the mail trosses, and the noble mail collar. So I like having the mail collar. I love how it frames out the face. So for cutscenes, I much prefer this to as opposed to having nothing for the head chainmail slot. I really like having the noble's mail collar there. Other items, these are mostly just stat based. I think the mail trosses, I know the mail trosses give you more defense than any other leg armor that you can put on other than the plate armor on top. So they're the best option there. And I just like how uniform it all looks together. Now, one complaint that I have about this game that I hope is different in the second game is there's not a lot of variation in the length of any of these hauberks. They all come down to right about here. So if you want to use any of the chainmail in this game, it's all going to hang about that low. I hope the second game has more variety there. Obviously, in real life, it is very realistic to have these longer hauberks, especially in earlier medieval times. But by the time where plate armor was becoming dominant, any mail that was being worn you saw being reduced in length because the plate was covering the areas that had previously been protected by these long, heavy sections of chainmail. So this is our second layer for this outfit. Then for the top layer of this outfit, we just have a bunch of Lords of Lipa stuff. So the Lords of Lipa cuirass, the Lords of Lipa pauldrons, the Lords of Lipa trosses, and the Lords of Lipa gauntlets. I love this armor. It's one of my favorite things that ever came out of all of the DLCs that Warhorse produced. It just looks fantastic. It's got more of a slightly muted blackish tint to it all, and it incorporates elements of Brigandine style armor. So you can see that the pauldrons we have on have the elements of Brigandine, as do the legs. So does the torso armor. So it's mostly plate, but we get those little design elements that make it just look extremely unique. And it has accents. So unlike a lot of the fancier armor in this game, which is gilded, and so it has bright gold accents, this is almost more of a bronzish looking, or maybe brass. But you can see we have this little chest V up top. We've also got all of the rivets and then the slight trimming on the tops of our pauldrons. Same thing for the gauntlets. You can see we do have that same muted trim, and it follows through all throughout. So I really love the design of this armor. I also really like the Lords of Lipa trosses. I think that they look a lot like the Nobles trosses, just obviously with significantly better stats. So I love this armor. I think it looks fantastic. It obviously has excellent stats. Altogether, the Lords of Lipa armor is one of the best suits of armor in the game stat-wise. It makes it worth doing the tournaments, even though they can be kind of annoying, especially if you do them early game like I did in this playthrough. It can be kind of annoying to obtain all this stuff, but it's definitely worth it because it's one of the best suits of armor in the game stat-wise, and in my opinion, it looks fantastic. So that is the entirety of my, like I said, what I call my cutscene variant of my favorite armor. The only variable on this is sometimes I'll put a hood on top. If I put a hood on this, which, like I said, I do from time to time, I like Sir Radzig's hood the best. Other than that, the either variant of the decorated hood is also a good option, but most of the time I don't put the hood on just because I think it covers too much of the armor up, and I like being able to see it. So that is my cutscene variant for my favorite armor. Stats for this one are a total weight of 57 pounds, so pretty light, which is one of the reasons I like it. A value of 14,704.2 groschen, so definitely very expensive for a suit of armor. Not anywhere near top tier, very affordable I would say, but obviously, you know, that's a lot of money to be investing in armor. And then we have an AAR, or average armor rating, of 83.75, so tremendously good armor value here. That's one of the reasons I love this suit so much. We don't have any head armor on, but we still have an average armor rating of 83.75. That means that all of the rest of this protection is extraordinarily high, because our head protection is basically nothing. Now keep in mind, this doesn't make up for this, so if you get hit in the head, you're still going to take way too much damage because you're not wearing a helmet, which is why I have a combat variant of my favorite suit of armor as well. That being said, before we move on to that variant, you can see our noise is at 87, which is definitely way too high to be stealthy, but it is not nearly as high as it could be, which is one of the nice things about all these pieces. And the charisma is 20, which is another thing that is just obviously excellent. So that's our first variant. Let's show you the quick changes that it takes to get to the second variant, or the combat variant. So basically, we're just going to swap out this collar for a full coif. We're going to add a padded coif, and we're going to add a helmet. So the Noble's mail coif, or coif, instead of the collar. Then we're going to have the dark padded coif to finish off our, coif armor, and then just the common bassinet. Now you could go with the Lords of Lipa helmet. I also like that. I think it looks pretty good. I do like being able to use bows and everything without having a visor down, just because, that improved visibility is something that I really enjoy. And this does provide enough head armor for me personally to pretty much much tank my way through anything. So that's why I like going for this overall, this build. And so the changed stats for this once we fill out the head armor is a total weight of 65 pounds. So we add a couple pounds on, obviously. Our value is 15,524.7 groschen, so about 1,000 groschen more. Makes sense considering we added some extra pieces of armor. And our average armor rating, or AAR, is 92.75. So we're able to use a suit of armor that looks very good, doesn't weigh ridiculously much, and offers us full visibility, while, like I said, maintaining a very, very cool appearance, in my opinion, and it still allows us to have almost 100 AAR. So definitely an excellent suit of armor stat-wise, and in my opinion, one of the best looking combinations of anything you can do in the game. And most of that just comes down to how good the Lords of Lipa stuff looks. So that is my personal favorite weapons and armor in Kingdom Come Deliverance, at least the first game. I hope that if anyone out there was curious, I mean, other than the person who literally requested this video, hopefully this was entertaining and or useful in some way, shape, and or form for you. But with all that being said, thanks a ton for watching and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.